The Ghost Nurse of Shibuya Hospital. This chilling tale comes from a former nurse who worked at the infamous Shibuya Hospital in Tokyo. Shibuya Hospital is a real place, and it's known for being one of the most haunted hospitals in Japan. It was originally constructed in 1938 and served as an air raid hospital during World War II. The building was severely damaged, but was eventually reconstructed. It continued to operate as a hospital until 1990, when it was finally closed due to a lack of patients. The hospital was demolished in 2004, but not before urban explorers documented the derelict building and shared their findings online. What they found was far from ordinary. Our story begins with a young nurse who was working the night shift. As she was making her rounds, she noticed that one of the patients had gotten out of bed and was wandering around the ward. The nurse tried to get the patient to go back to bed, but he kept getting up and was clearly agitated. The nurse knew that this patient was a bit special. He had been brought in a few weeks prior, in a catatonic state after being exorcised by a Buddhist monk. The patient had a strange symbol carved into his chest, and it seemed as though he was trying to communicate with the nurse. As the night wore on, the nurse began to feel a presence in the room with her. She could feel something dark and evil watching her every move. Suddenly, the lights went out and she heard the sound of heavy footsteps approaching her. In a panic, she turned and ran, but it was too late. A ghostly figure loomed over her and began to strangle her. The nurse fought back, but the ghost was too strong. It lifted her up and carried her down the hallway. The nurse could feel its icy cold fingers digging into her flesh, as it dragged her deeper and deeper into the hospital. Just when she thought it couldn't get any worse, the ghost laid her down on a table and began to perform a strange ritual. The ghost began to chant in a language that the nurse didn't understand, and the room began to fill with a thick black fog. The nurse tried to scream, but no sound came out. She could feel the ghost's icy cold breath on her neck, as it leaned closer and closer. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the ritual was over. The ghost vanished, and the room was silent. The nurse was left alone in the dark, trembling and terrified. She didn't know what had happened to her or why the ghost had chosen her, but she knew that she would never forget the horror of that night. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future uploads. And as always, thanks for watching.